The National Union of Mine Workers Compensation Officer Adam Letshele has been dealing with many of the families who took part in the court action, and he joins us now. Good evening. Thanks very much for coming through. Now, from what the lawyers are saying, this settlement is in fact far from ideal. It's a compromise.
I think we are looking at the injustices of exposure to all these lung diseases underground. This is where we would say, you know what, let's try and redress the injustices of those past. Let's try and see how we can better compensate for the harmful environments that workers were actually involved in. And it gives us great pleasure. We cannot say we are happy, but we can only say that it assists in trying to deal with issues of the past.
It goes some way.
It goes somewhere, because if we're happy, it basically means that we're willing to sell our lungs for money, meaning that companies can continue to expose us to all these harmful environments and we will settle for money at the end. We are definitely not happy, but we hope that going forward, there will be improvements in the health and safety of workers underground.
What did you have to forgo just to be able to settle on something or secure something for the workers or their families?
What has been happening, what we've actually observed, is that a lot of these workers were actually dying. If I were to give an example, for the past, let's say, 4 or 5 years, probably about 4,000 beneficiaries have perished. And if we take this longer, because the industry has the capacity to go further and take this for 20 years, 30 years.
They have the money to pay lawyers.
To pay lawyers, they've got all the resources. And all we have to do is just to settle and see to it that those that are still alive, those that their beneficiaries are still around, can actually benefit at this point in time.
Well, one analyst was telling us today that government too should have come to the party. In other words, they should have put money on the table as well, because they are beneficiaries. They benefited from royalties, taxes and everything. Do you share that view?
The government is on board. We've been engaging with the deputy ministers of mineral resources, labor and health, and they've been on board. And to a point where even there's another system that people are getting compensated on. It's called the Compensation Commissioner for Occupational Diseases. We've seen a big improvement. We wish we could do more, but we've seen improvements whereby there were times where only 1,500, 2,000 workers were paid in a year, about 5 years back. At this point, we're looking at about 2,000 workers being paid in a month. So those were some of the interventions that we had to come in, that we had to get government involved and get the industry to invest in resources to make that compensation system efficient. As it stands now, the government is paying about at second degree, which is the maximum, about 140, 150,000 rands, which is a big improvement from 105,000 rand that was paid, and also on first degree about 40,000 rands previously to about 70, 80,000 rands at the current moment. So it's through our engagements, through our pushing government to actually make sure that this whole issue of socio-economic improvement is dealt with, especially when it comes to mine workers.
How are you going to ensure that the money actually goes to the mine workers themselves or their beneficiaries, and no substantial amounts of it actually go to lawyers, maintaining bureaucracy, and so on?
That is one of the things that we, from the word go, we said there should be no money from this settlement that goes to the lawyers. The industry must find a mechanism of paying the legal cost of this whole exercise, and that has been done. We also hope that going forward, we would have an inclusive exercise of establishing a trust that is properly constituted by all the relevant stakeholders, and also seeing to it that we deal with people that are credible, and we're able to reach out to all those former mine workers in Lesotho, Botswana, Swaziland, and the far-fetched areas of South Africa.
That was going to be my next question, because we've seen with pension funds and other such things where it's difficult to actually track down people who are sick or who are old or their families. How are you going to get around that particular problem?
I think one of the issues that I've always talked about is we have so much in terms of the injustices of the what do we call it? The legacy of migrant worker system, whereby a group of individuals will come from one community, use a private bag from one shop as their contact details going back home. The shop closes, nobody knows how to actually reach out to them. What we've done is we've made sure that we have outreach projects, set up mobile units in partnership with government, whereby we have also one-stop service centers in Botswana where people can come and get access services, in Lesotho where people can come and inquire of all those services. So we would try by all means. I'm not going to say that it's going to be an easy task, but definitely a mountain to climb. What we said earlier on was that, actually the easy job has been done in terms of the settlement. Now comes the real work of finding individuals and making sure that we make workers who were compromised better going forward.